Hi, this is A. Wesley. That ain't even tells it like a TI either. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribe. Topic I'm going to talk to you today about is Bell Collective Season 6, Episode 3 and 4. Episode 3 is It's Going Down in the DMs, and Episode 4 is Trouble in Paradise. I'm going to start off with Episode 3 first. Episode 3 started off with Latrice at her taste restaurant, and she's meeting up with Marie and Amanda at a restaurant, and Marie shows up first, and she greets Marie and says, "Marie, how you doing?" And she said, "I'm doing all right. How you doing, Latrice?" Latrice said, "I'm doing just fine." And then Marie said in her confession, "Who would have thought? Who would have thought that me and Sharice would be becoming friends? We'd be making up, and I'd be eating at that taste restaurant, and she'd be supporting me at my events." And so it switched, and so it went back to the scene, and then and then Marie said, Latrice, I don't like I don't like what happened at your event last night. I mean, I ain't like what happened at the brunch. I mean, she said, I ain't like what happened at the brunch either. And then Amanda showed up, and Amanda said, "How you doing, Marie?" And then Marie said, "I'm doing all right." And then said, "What about you, Latrice?" Latrice said, "I'm doing good. What about you?" Said, "I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine." And before anybody could say anything out of their mouth, here come Amanda coming at Marie, telling Marie, "Marie, I didn't like the way you and the other ladies did Latrice. I got kind of gained them on the way y'all did Latrice." And Marie said, "Hey, wait a minute. I didn't like the way y'all. I didn't like the way y'all ambushed Lakeisha like that. Keisha is my friend. Keisha is my friend, and I'm gonna support Keisha. I'm gonna support Keisha, and because Keisha is my friend and stuff like that. And I'm gonna stand 10 toes down, 10 toes down." And then Latrice said, "Well, you know, I don't like being in the middle. I don't like being in the middle and stuff like that." And she said, Amanda is my friend, and Amanda wouldn't have no reason to lie on Glen like that. And she said, "Well, I don't know about all that, Latrice." That's what Marie was saying, but I'm just saying, I'm gonna take up for my friend. I'm gonna take up for my friend. And so and she said, "Well, I'm tired of being in the middle, tired of being in the middle." And then so Marie said, well, Amanda, you know Lakeisha, you've been around Lakeisha for a while, and said, why would you do that? Why would you say that?" And she said, "Well, I'm friends with Latrice too. I'm friends with Latrice too." And then, and then it was there for me to do. And then Latrice said, "Well, you know what? Let's move on. Let's move on." She said, I want to have a pool party so we can get all the girls together and we just have some fun, just have some fun, and forget about all this drama and stuff." And then Reese said, "Well, I'm in for it." And then Amanda said, "Well, I'm coming, I'm coming." And then Reese said, "Are you inviting everybody, Latrice?" Latrice said, "Yeah, I'm inviting everybody except Cambria." And she said, why you ain't inviting why you ain't inviting Cambria?" She said, "Cause Cambria's fiance is not gonna come. He's not gonna want to be involved in the couple ship. This a couple's a pool boy." He said, "Okay." And then switch to the next scene, and the next scene was Kerri at the gym, and Kerri said that she invited Lateshia to work out with her because she wanted to talk to Lakeisha and she wanted to get to know Lakeisha. And she said since Lakeisha is the main belle, she wanted to get Lakeisha to get a feel of what was the group about and stuff. And so when Lakeisha showed up, Kerri said, and the company, "What did she show up in? These ain't no workout clothes. These ain't no workout clothes." And I was saying, they sure did look like no workout clothes to me. And this thing, like, they got to talking, they had a little break, they got to talking. She was saying, "Yeah, I was kind of concerned for you, Lakeisha, especially after what happened at your brunch." She said, "Yeah, the stuff that happened at my brunch, I didn't think that because I thought everybody was going to be on their best behavior at my brunch and everything, but I didn't know this stuff was going to break out. But I should have known that about some of these bills." And she was saying, she was saying, I was kind of surprised by it too. She was saying, she said, I'm just new to the group and I'm coming to." She said, "But I heard some stuff too, but I really didn't know if it was true or not." And then Lakeisha said, "Yeah, in the past, Glen did cheat on me, and he did slide into another woman's DM, but by us reconnecting earlier this year, all that was supposed to be bed bed and there. I don't know why Amanda brought that up at the brunch. I thought she was my friend." and she was saying, "Oh yes, I've been around Amanda for a while." She could have told me that in private. That's what Lakeisha was saying. And Kerri said, "Yeah, Kerri said, yeah." I would have thought that too. If somebody, my friend, I wouldn't have told them stuff like that in public. And I'm saying, yeah, a man that looks very thirsty and very guilty. Now, I'm not saying that Latrice don't have a part in him, but to me, you can't stop another grown person from saying what they want to say and doing what they want to do. So she picked the right. In her mind, Amanda picked the right time to do it, but it was the wrong time because they had all outside people there from the bunch. But anyway, back to the next scene, and the next scene, and the next scene was the next scene was Kerri at her house with her husband and stuff. And he was telling her that she don't spend enough time with him. And she said, "I'm busy. I'm working. I own 3 restaurants, and then I have kids to take care of and stuff like that." And she was saying that her husband is a former baseball player, and now he's a sports agent, and now he's a sports agent. And she was saying, "Yeah." She was saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna try to make more time for you, try to make more time for you, and stuff like that." He said, "Yeah, not just for me and the kid." And I'm looking at because sometimes be the other way around when the wife be complaining about the husband and ain't staying along. But like she said, she gonna try to delegate some of the delegate some of the stuff to her workers and other people, and she gonna try to take a less of a back seat. And her husband said, I hope you do that, I hope you do that." And she said, I think she said she got 3 children, 2 twins that are 17 years old, and a younger son. I can't remember their name. But anyway, switch to the next scene, and Lakeisha showed up at the gym for the couples event for Selena and Mike. And so Glenn said, "Yeah, me and Lakeisha, since me and Lakeisha are back together again, we don't mind helping another couple with their communication problem because that's what we was having in our first marriage." I said, "Now, Glenn, you was having more than communication problem in your first marriage. You was cheating on Lakeisha because she had elevated, and you was stuck back there at home doing your truck driving job." I watched Bill Collector from season 1 all the way to 4, but anyway, back to the show. And so Selena showed up with Mike, and she was saying, "Yeah, I was looking at the men Mike can engage, and what he is, I don't want to go into a marriage with these same communication problems." She said, "Yeah, that's why I invited you to a gym." And then the coach came up, and he said, "Well, I'm gonna give y'all some exercise to do." And so he gave him some exercise to do. He said, "Y'all roll around on the ball." And he said, "Yeah, y'all roll around the ball. Then y'all punch the ball. Then y'all squeeze the ball." So he did a couple of exercise. And then he said, "Let's take a break." And then when I took a break, and she was saying, "Yeah, now that you understand that some of the stuff that I still be thinking about is my son was supposed to come home and celebrate his birthday. He's gonna be 30 years old, and he never showed up, never showed up. Next thing I know, he was calling me, telling me somebody had killed my son. So when Mike don't communicate with me, that kind of triggers me. That kind of triggers me." And Mike said, "Whoa, I didn't know that." And then so Lakeisha said, "Yeah, that is a trigger for you, and you do have do need to work on your communication problem." And she said, "Michael, you understanding what I'm talking about now?" Mike said, "Yeah, I understand. I'm gonna start letting you know where I'm at a little bit more and stuff like that." And then Selena said, "Well, thank you, Lakeisha, for helping me, and it might kind of work on our communication problem before I was." And she said, "No problem, no problem." She said, "Anything I can do to help another couple, because me and Glenn had went through this stuff last year, a couple of years ago." And Glenn said, "Yeah, we'll be happy to help any kind of couple." And then she said, "Oh, Lakeisha, before we leave, my son's birthday coming up and his anniversary. I want to have an all-white party and stuff, and I want to invite you and some of the other bears. Would you mind coming?" And Latrice said, "I don't mind coming. I don't mind coming. That's good. I'll come and support you. I'll come and support you." So it's went to the next scene. And the next scene was the all white party. And then they went to everybody came dressed up in the all white party and stuff like that. And she said that she had grief counselors there and people who work with mental health and stuff because she said that's real triggering for her. And she said that she invited Latrice because Latrice had lost two brothers. And then some of the panelists got up there and said, people grieve different ways and stuff like that. And then Latrice got up there and she said that that's why she be want Cliff to check in on her, let her know. He said It says it's not that she trying to find out what Cliff is doing. She said because one of her older brothers got killed, and then she said she had just got through talking to a younger brother on the phone. She said she had some kind of dream or nightmare that he passed away. He told her, "No, no, I'm all right." And she said about 2 hours later he was gone. And so she said that's why she be scared. And then Cliff be telling me, "Oh, I understand now." She said every time she get scared, that Cliff ain't gonna come back. And then after that, Selena talked about her son and his 30th birthday and how she has been working through her grief, and hopefully by her doing this event, she could be able to move on. So that was a cute little scene, even though it was kind of sad. And then after that, it switched to Latrice's pool party, and everybody was sitting down. They was getting ready, and they had this lady. They're giving out questions, and they were saying, "Let's play a game. Let's play a game." And then so Glen said, "We here to play games?" He said, "Yeah, let's play a game there, but." And so he said, "Okay." He said, "We're gonna ask y'all a couple of questions. Y'all seeking out, y'all answer those questions." The first question out the box that lady's head. Have you ever been cheated on, or have anybody ever cheated on you? And then Lakeisha said, "Huh? What kind of game is this? What kind of question is this?" And then Kerri said in the confession, "Yeah." Whoever asked that question and wrote that question, they knew that question was directed especially at Gwen, not Glen, especially at Glen and Lakeisha. And she said, "I don't know." She said, "I don't know who wrote that question." She said, "But they should have never wrote that." And then so, and then so, and then the lady said, "We're gonna ask the men first." And then they asked Cliff. Cliff said no. All the men said no. Got to Glen. Glen said no. And then, Amanda's, I guess, so-called friend, girlfriend, or whatever, friend, said, "Nah, Glen, you did cheat. You did cheat." Glen said, "I ain't cheat. I ain't cheat." He said, "That was back in the day, a long time ago." "Nah, you already cheated. You slid in Amanda's DM." He said, "No, I didn't. I ain't never slid in Amanda's DM." And so I said, "Yes, you did. Yes, you did." And then so Lakeisha said, "What's going on, Glen? What's going on, Glen?" Glen said, "I don't know what's going on. She lied. She lied on me." And then Glen jumped up and got in the woman's face, and then Cliff got him. "Come on, man. Come on, man. Come outside. Let's get cool. Come on, man. Come on, man. Go outside. Cool down. Cool down." He said, that irks me. I don't like nobody lying on me." He said, "But now, man, you can't jump in the woman's face like that." And so they went outside. And Lakeisha said, "I want to get to the bottom. I want to get to the bottom. What is this you showing me? What is this you showing me?" He said, I'm showing you the DMs. I'm showing you the DMs." Next thing you know, the episode ended. And that was episode 3. Episode 4 started off where it left off, where Lakeisha said, "Well, let me see." And Amanda showed her the text messages and DMs. She said, "Huh? 2022, 2023. I know all about this. We already talked about this. You got anything new, anything new or recent occurrence?" She said, "Yeah, here, right here." She said, "No, this say 2023 again." So this say 2024. She said, "This say the this she said at the top of 2024. Me and Glenn decided to reconnect. This is way back then." She said, "But no. I see something right here. Say February." He said, "February." He said, "Let me go talk to Glenn. Let me go talk to Glenn and see what's going on." So Lakeisha went outside and said, "Glenn, what is going on?" This is the text that Amanda showed me, and it's recent. And she said, "Glenn, this is the day you slid in her DMs, and this is the day that we kind of reconnect." And it's kind of like 2 days later, something like that. "Glenn, what's going on?" Glenn said, "I didn't go on her DMs. I just liked the picture or something." So "You ain't supposed to like no picture or do nothing." And he's talking about, "I ain't have done nothing to do it." She said, "Yes, you did. Yes, you did." And then she said, "Glenn, did you, did you?" She said, "Well, it wasn't really nothing as far as me, sleeping with her, the stuff like that. It was mostly like flirting." He said, "Flirting?" So yeah, I kind of flirted with her on the DM and stuff like that with her neck. And she said, you ain't supposed to be flirting because we had already reconnected. She said, Glenn, you didn't hurt me and embarrass me again. I'm tired of you. I'm tired of you. If you don't want me to. And Latrice ran out. She started crying and stuff like that. And we came after her. And then it switched to the next scene. And the next scene was Kerri and Marie going. This is episode 4. Kerri and Marie going to check on Lakeisha, and they were saying, Lakeisha, we came to check on you. Said Lakeisha said, yeah, I didn't have to call y'all. I'm so glad y'all checked me out. She said, but that was so embarrassing to me. And she was saying, why? She was saying, why would Latrice do that to me? And why would she let that girl do that to me at our house? I thought me and Latrice was friends. And then Marie jumped and said, see, I told you years ago that Latrice was a snake. She always been a snake. I said, wait a minute. Y'all, you just said that you was friends with Latrice. Now you talking about she a snake and all that. I said, honey child, you a fair with a friend, Maria, and stuff. And so, and so Kerri said, yeah, I don't know why she did that and did it at our house anyway. That was embarrassing. And then Marie said, well, you and Glen that now. Latrice said, I don't know. She said, I don't know. I'm just hurt. I feel hurt. I feel hurt by everybody and stuff like that and stuff like that. So it went on to the next scene, and then the next scene was Latrice driving in her Jeep, and she said, Amanda, uh, 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 I'm just a few blocks over from you. I want to come and see you at the salon. She said, yeah, okay, okay, come on, see me at my salon. So she came to see me at a salon, and he said, then she said, you know what? I want to talk about what happened last night at the pool party. She said, I want to talk about it too. She said, why? She said, so why did you pick that night to do that? You know, we having a good time at first and stuff like that. She said, if the drinks had been flowing, do you think you would have did it in another time, another place? And she said, well, yeah. She said, well, yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have did it at your house and stuff like that. She said, yeah, because I was already in the middle, and then you put me more and more in the middle. And she said, you know them ladies gonna be, them ladies gonna be, what you call it? They're gonna blaming me. And then she said, well, I'm sorry for putting you in the, in that Latrice. And then it went to the next scene, and then this next scene after that was them meeting up what was it? Yeah, no, Kerri went to visit her husband at his gym, and she wanted to talk to him, and she wanted to talk to him about him coming down there. He said, "Well, you just came down here to have drama." We said, "No, no, I just came here to see how you was doing stuff. Cause you told me I need to take more time." He said, "But you still want to talk about drama and stuff like that." She said, "Well, okay." I'm gonna have a surprise for you when I come home. And then when he came home, she had what you call it, blindfolded him. And she had a nice romantic dinner. And then switched to the last scene. And the last scene was Glen and stepfather painting the house. And then Latrice came in and she said, "Glen, we need to talk. We need to talk." He said, "Well, you ready to work?" She said, "No, I'm not ready to work. We need to talk. We need to talk." And then he said, "Well, if you're gonna work and you're gonna sit down," I told you we need to talk. She said, "Glen, I've been thinking about this and thinking about this." And she said, "Glen, you really hurt me and everybody will hurt me and stuff like that. And why would you want to hurt me like that?" She said, "Glen, if you're not ready to recommit to me and our son and stuff like that, just leave me alone, leave me alone." He said, "Keisha, we good." He said, "I just told you that woman lied on me." And then he was talking about, yeah, and I have a problem with Clip. If Cliff is not going to defend me and mine, then I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that." She said, "But Glenn, this is between me and you." She said, "But I'm just saying, I don't know why Latrice did me like that." And then he said, "It's all right, Keisha. It's all right, Keisha." Got a hug and Latrice and the thing went off. I feel like Latrice was in the wrong for bringing Amanda around and now discussing this with Amanda. And also, Glenn most definitely was wrong for doing that to Lakeisha again because he know that girl has already been through that. Now, I don't know. Some people think that they think Glenn and Lakeisha just doing this for the show and they are okay. I don't know. But from what I could see, she has been hurt by Glenn so many times. So if I was her, I would just leave Glenn. That's all I have for this video. This is A. Wesley. That ain't who tells it like a TI is. I am out.